Alright, that's looking good. Hey guys, it's Shane here at Tank Hunter Miniatures, and I hope everyone's had a great Christmas and was able to get a lot done and really enjoyed themselves. I know I did. I got a chance to read a few things, get some stuff done, spend some time with people, so it was a good time. So today, I just want to do a tier list going over all the new detachments we got for Grotmas. Now, this was a bit of a mixed bag. Generally, from what I've heard from people, some people are really happy, some people are not so happy with what they got. That seems to be a more of an issue with their armies, less the detachment. So it was nice that everyone got something new. Because even if you only had one detachment, because your army doesn't have a codex yet, it was good to have some variety there. So yeah, let's not dwell too much onto that. Let's get straight into it. Now, I figured we'd go straight to the first one being day one, which was, of course, Death Guard. So let's look into that. Now, the main reason I thought a tier list would be appropriate because we can go into what makes it, S, A, B, C, D. So, D is, it's not a good detachment, and, it's worse than what you have. Pretty much, there's no reason to pick it. C is, it's worse than the ones we have, but it's still playable to an extent. B, it's just average. It's like one of the lesser tier sort of detachments that's coming out. A is, it's on par with the more powerful ones. S is, this is sort of surpassed what we already have for that faction. So if we look into, let me just bring up the detachment here. So we're looking at the Fly Lord, the Fly Blown Host. Now this gives your infantry. It's a very much an infantry sort of focused detachment. So you get the, it's all good. Maybe that would have been a bit too much. Stealth ability. So yeah, everything's neg 1 to be hit and ranged. That's really good. So you got some fun stratagems as well. You still got your do they have a, no, they don't have an Armor of Contempt one. I swore they had an Armor of Contempt one, but that's alright. Because they're already, like I said, pretty strong. What with the neg 1 to hit and, but anyway. So I feel this one's pretty good. Like I'd say compared to the other one, so what it is you're losing out your ability to sort of do more damage. You lose your spread as the sickness auras. So the one you see most people play is the negative to the armor save. So you lose that, but you're becoming more defendable and becoming faster. So you can move up to the point a lot faster. That's one thing that Death Guard sort of have a lot of issues with. They're slow, and yes, you can Rhino Rush. You pretty much have to. You have to push everything up, and you have to deep strike in if you want to make some ground fast, which you're going to need to do. So this sort of helps you play in a different style, so you don't need to so much, rely on that. You can go full infantry, full Plague Marines, and Plague Marines are still good, and just say, I'm sitting on this objective, and I'm going to make it really hard for you to move me off. So for that reason, we're going to make good old Death Guard an A tier. Because it is really good, just as much as the other detachments. So the next one we're looking at is the Dark Angels. Now, Dark Angels, they've been an interesting one because I never see anyone actually use the Dark Angels sort of supplement. They always use just the normal detachments. So with the Lion's Blade, it's not too bad. It's just, you have to rely on, your Death Wing and your Raven Wing. It pretty much sets what you have to use. And, I mean, the stratagems, it's not that great because you're still using Raven Wing, to advance and go through the terrain, which is good. But overall, it's not that Interesting. Yeah, it's more of an elite thing, but you can already go elite with all the other sort of detachments. So it doesn't really help them out that much. It's only really on par with the other stuff. So I don't really see people picking it unless it's like a really sort of thematic sort of list. That's where you'd really pick this one up. So Dark Angels, we're just going to put that in solid B tier. It's just on the lesser grade of... Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. That was Astra Militarum. You can see the difference there. Because everything has wings here. Everything has wings. Everything wants to fly. That's great. So we got B tier there. Let's see. What do we got next? We're looking at... Oh, yeah, Tyranids. Now, this is an interesting one. So we've got the Warrior Bioform Onslaught. It's not bad. You know, it transforms your warriors, you know, into battle lines, so you can have a lot of them. You can just spam warriors, and warriors are still good. Warriors are pretty strong. You know, they're not really as... the close combat ones, the ones with melee weapons, can't really customize them. The ones with the ranged weapons, they're not too bad. So... overall, giving them the 5-up invuln as well, that's nice. They're a bit more defendable. So, yeah, it does pretty much set what your army's going to be. You know, it's just going to be all warriors. You don't really want to put other stuff in. But when you compare it to the other stratagems, I mean, the other detachments you can get, they don't have a lot of great ones. Like, if you use the Synaptic, yeah, you'll get the, you know, the invuln for that. For other stuff, it's really, like I said, it's so thematic. It's a very thematic army, which is good. Like, it's pretty much on par with their other ones. I don't see it being super strong, but it is fun and it is interesting. It's something, you know, they didn't have really before. You could do it, but this really incentivizes you to do it. So we're going to give that one a nice B tier. I feel that fits pretty good. Now we're looking at, oh yes, our Thousand Suns. Now this is one that doesn't have a codex. So before it just had its Cult of Magic, which, you know, you could just select the special ability. So, you know, have the devastating wounds, the sustained hits, or the lethal hits. That's pretty good. You know, because it gives you good, you know, variety. You know, you can change up to suit what you're going up against. Makes you more flexible. Now, for the Hex Warp Thrallband, the problem with this one is, you know, it's sort of like with the Warp one, the Chaos one, where you got to control, you know, the battlefield to be really doing stuff. So it's dependent on that, and there's ways you can get around it, but overall, it's not that great of an ability you get if you're within the flow of magic area, because it's just reroll wounds of 1, or, you know, adding 1 to the wound roll. So you're wounding a bit better. I think devastating wounds is so much better than that, and all the strats aren't that much better than the original one. It's really not great. Yeah, I talked to some people about this, and they all feel, you know, it's one of the worst, because it's not better than, yeah, it's not even on par with the original. You no real reason to pick this detachment. They really dropped the ball on this one. So I'm afraid Thousand Suns, that gets a D tier. Yeah, no one liked it. It's very, very disappointing, but that's just the way it goes sometimes. Now, the next one we're looking at... Wait a minute, I got my list wrong. Yeah, the next one was Necrons. Or was it Admech? No, it must be Necrons. Alright, Necrons. The Star Shatter Arsenal. Now, this one was really good. Now, this is what me and Josh were talking about when we made the video earlier in the month about this. So, giving the vehicles the assault and giving everything +1 to hit against things on objective markers. That's dangerous. So we've already gone through how strong Necron sort of vehicles are. And this is mounted as well. So this is your destroyers, your big heavy hitters. So they all have assault now. They don't have to stand still to be dangerous. They can keep moving forward. And yeah, that really, it's sort of like with the Death Guard. Necrons are kind of slow for the most part. So giving them the ability to, move faster and just take the ground quicker. That's why the Hyperface detachment's really good. Why a lot of people bring that. So I think this is probably one of the best detachments in the game. Because as we were saying, it's like with the dimensional tunnel, so you can take a vehicle, go straight through a terrain feature, and that can be the Silent King. Because all the strats that are really good can affect the Silent King, and he is a beast. So yeah, there's no real reason not to take this one, because it not only helps vehicles, because this is a vehicle detachment, but it also helps everything, getting that +1 to hit roll, clearing out objectives. So that's really important. So Necron, that's getting S. That's one of the best detachments in the whole thing. Like for the codex, everything. That's been amazing. Okay, so now we're looking at Admech. So Admech got their Hollow Screed Battleclade. Hollow Screed? Whatever. It's a weird Admech name. So this one's an interesting one because you're picking certain units and giving them that override, that Halo override ability. So you're buffing certain units. So that's really interesting because you can adapt and change things as the battle progresses. You can just keep sort of changing things, giving them sort of stronger abilities. I really feel this is going to be better for, say, mostly a Skitarii force, because you've got some, fast moving, advance and charge, extra stuff. The stealth one's pretty good. I feel it's more leaning towards a close combat-y sort of army. And you see in the protocols, it's very much a sort of, I'd say infantry more focused. Like a lot of it just does say Adeptus Mechanicus, so it is to sort of help everything, which is why it's good as well. Because it doesn't just say infantry, though I feel infantry will be the better sort of thing for that, because it does sort of help, fighting a bit better for the charging out of a vehicle and such. So, yeah, this is all around pretty good. So I'm going to give this one, and as I mentioned in many previous discussions, many other battle reports, how just okay Admech is for the most part. We're going to give this an A. Feel Admech's, it got a good run here. This is an interesting detachment, and you can do a lot of fun stuff with it. So, yeah, we'll give this an A. So next, we got Deathwatch. So, Deathwatch finally got themselves back into the Space Marines. We thought they were gone. Everyone got upset, but it's good it's back. It's good it's back indeed. So for Deathwatch, it's an interesting one because, whilst I like the strats, because, the kill teams, they can very much adapt what they're doing. So, you can get your assault, your ignore cover, you get your hellfire rounds. It turns every kill team just able to take on any sort of enemy. That's the sort of thing that they do. And they sort of get this. It's very similar to the Gladius Task Force, where you're picking your ability, your tactic, for each turn. And you're still, of course, getting your Oath of Moment, so that's still a pretty strong ability. I feel it's good. I feel this really helps. Well, it's not just that it helps people, but the people who had big Death Watch armies and couldn't use them anymore because they became Imperial agents and that whole fiasco. So it's definitely good that it's back. We're happy for that. So, it's not the best. Like I said, it's still pretty much same line as other Space Marine sort of armies. You might be better off just running sort of Space Marines, but for what it is, I think they've done okay with that. So we'll give Death Watch a B. It's definitely on there because it's still good. It just doesn't add anything new or special to it. It just brings back what people lost. So let's see. After Death Watch, we are looking at. Oh yes, Imperial Agents. I don't even have a calendar one for this. I had to steal that. So this is your assassin detachment. It really should have been in the codex itself. It really should have. I feel it was a big miss leaving it out. The trouble with it is, you have to bring the assassins themselves. The whole army relies around assassins. Now, the problem with the assassins is you then have to pay for their extremist abilities. So they get these, you have to pay extra for them to sort of buff them up a bit more. And yeah, it makes them powerful. Like, they are strong sort of units. But you can only get one of them because they're epic heroes technically. And as soon as they're gone, you can't do anything. It's, very much a putting all your eggs in one basket sort of detachment. So you have to be really careful because as soon as one dies, it's like, oh, well, that's out. So you got to protect him. You got to make sure every engagement you make, it's not going to die. It's going to stay alive. You can't just sacrifice, because they're good when they're distractions. You can just throw an Eversaw into someone's backfield and like, ooh, look at the havoc he's wrought. You better turn around and deal with that instead of walking forward and dealing with me. Assassins are great, but they're mostly for distractions. You can't rely on it to carry the whole army in most cases. And for the most part, they're all just anti-infantry. Someone has a monster or a vehicle list, you're not going to be doing that much. So, the Imperial Agents has a lot of problems. This doesn't fix them. This just leads into it. Like, they're all just thematic. They're not competitive detachments. They're all just thematic. So, for that reason, Imperial Agents, that gets a D. It's not a great idea to just run your whole army just around 4 characters who just have a 4-up invuln. I mean, the Eversaw sort of gets some feeling pain, but just for the most part, it's just not a smart decision to make to do that. Alright, so we're off Imperial Agents now. We are looking at custodes. Yes, the Solar Spearhead. Now, of course, this is what me and Josh were talking about the other day as well, and you saw how much I enjoyed them. So one thing I hear against this is sort of if you don't go vehicle heavy, don't go walker heavy, it does sort of negatively affect your army, but not really that much, because if you're taking custodes, taking the shield host, what you're losing on the lethal hits on a 5-up pretty much. That's, you still got your other martial Qatar, so it doesn't really degrade your infantry and your characters that much. For how much it helps your vehicles and your walkers, like, I think that's a pretty decent trade-off. And as you can see, you can make, your warlord a one of the big dreads, and it's just gonna not die. It's just, you can give it the feel no pain. You can give it the other stuff. And the army also buffs the mounted custodes. You can just now use the unstoppable to just Kool-Aid some of the flying bikes straight through terrain and just get straight into combat. That's crazy. So I feel it's pretty good all around. And it's like some of the other ones, like the Wrathful Events, the extra pile-in, that's going to be really helpful. You can just keep moving forward. So it doesn't just help vehicles. It does have something everyone can use, you know, and I feel the Walkers just really got it right. So Custodes, I'm giving that an S. Yeah, definitely deserves an S there. All right, fantastic. I can't wait to try this one out, to get some dread spam going. It's going to be a fun time. So after Custodes, we're looking at, oh yeah, the Knights. It was good of them to put Knights just in the same bracket there to get the detachment, but whatever. I'm pretty sure these are both sort of in the same category anyway. So what you got for both armies, the Chaos and the Imperial, is you can take allies. I don't think you could ever with the Chaos ones, but having a lot of cultists, your what's it called exactly? Iconoclast, yeah, fiefdom. So yeah, you've got all your damned units there, which is really cool, and you can sort of sacrifice them to sort of help your knights. You know, it's a very thematic, you know, evil knights and their peasants. So I just love the theme of this. I think it's alright. Maybe the other one's better. I mean, Knights and Chaos Knights are just good. They're just good either way. So I think just adds more sort of stuff you can do. You know, the Strike Force, it's a third. It's a third. If you're running 1,500 points, it's 500 you can bring in a bunch of cultists, and to get them just running around, getting objectives, you know, getting in the way of stuff that wants to like get into combat with your knights. You know, they got to get through massive cultists before they can get to your knight. That's going to be pretty good, because you can just put that as a roadblock, protect them. So I really like this attachment. I think it's fundamentally really fun. So when it comes to the Questora Forge pack, the Imperial Knight version, so we're bringing back the Adeptus Mechanicus allies there, which is really cool. That was always a really cool thing you could do back in the previous editions. They just go together, AdMech and Imperial Knights. So I like how you can do that again. Bring back the Forge packs there. So yeah, I like how, you know, it lets your knights, they lose the feel no pain. That's the main thing they lose there, but they can get the actual, you know, ability to be repaired instead. So I'd say that's sort of just as good. And yeah, it really buffs the Adeptus Mechanicus there. You know, given the reroll of 1 to hit and wound, yeah, that's just cool. So it really helps both things. You don't even need a big Mechanicus force for this. Yeah, I feel these are both pretty good. They're both very thematic. They're sort of on par with what they already have now. I'm sure once they get codexes, maybe they won't be as powerful anymore. But for now, I'm giving it an A. Like, I really like how it works. I feel that's going to be, you know, a lot more interesting way to play knights going forward. So yeah, let's have a look. That's our knights done. Now we're looking at other knights. We're looking at Grey Knights. So the Grey Knight, you know, it has its teleport, strike force. It's pretty good. You know, for an elite army, it's a very fast army. That's its main thing. It's not really like a parking lot type army. It's like it's a fast moving force. Now before you had the teleport shunt, which you advance and you just move 6. You just automatically a 6 and you just move through stuff. Oh wait, no, it wasn't that you moved through stuff. You had fly, so you still had to take into account the height of stuff you're going over for some reason, even though you're teleporting. But whatever. Overall, I didn't think this was very good detachment because most of your stuff doesn't have assault, and if you don't have assault, you shouldn't really be advancing that much. It's just like, yeah, it's going to get you into a place where you need to be better, but I think it's just a downside when you need to, you need to be shooting a lot more. So I never really found that detachment very good. Now, on the inverse of that, you have the Hallowed Ground ability for the Warpbane Task Force. Now, this is similar to what the Thousand Suns. It's pretty much a mirror of what the Thousand Suns get, but this one's better because instead of just, having the middle ground, and that's the thing, having the middle ground here is a lot easier because you're teleporting a lot. So, yeah, you getting the majority of objectives is going to be a whole lot easier than it is for the Thousand Suns. Not only that, but you can have the Purifier Squad just within 6 of something, and it counts now. So, that's pretty good. And the other thing is, the other one for the Thousand Suns, that just affected their psychic weapons. This affects just all the units. So, giving them the reroll hit rolls of 1, or, rerolling the entire hit roll. So, yeah, the Purifier Squad on Holy Ground. Yeah, so there's a lot more versatility to this. There's a lot more ways to access the ability. So I just think it's a whole lot better. And it's better than what they had. With the Thousand Suns one, they were much better with what they had. In this case, it's much better than what they had before. This is a good detachment, and it's like, yes, you got to bring purifiers, but purifiers are pretty good, and they work pretty well in this army. Like, all the stratagems are for infantry, but you're going to be wanting to take infantry anyway, as I found out with the stream where we tried the all Dread Knight army, and it didn't do very good. You shouldn't really be focusing on that with Grey Knights anyway. So Grey Knight infantry sort of spam, that's the best option. That's what they should be relying on anyway. So yeah, Grey Knights, as I've said, it's better than what they have, and it's overall pretty strong, so we're going to give that an A. Like, it's close to S, but I don't think it's fully there. It is a lot better than what they have. It's a strong A. Definitely a strong A. So that's Grey Knights done. What are we looking at now? Oh yeah, Space Marines. So Space Marines now. So looking at the Librarius Conclave. Essentially the Blood Ravens sort of detachment, as they love their librarians. So in this one, you are getting your special ability based on how many Psykers. Now, overall, I thought, hey, you gotta have Psykers. It's a bit limiting. How many Psykers can you have? You can actually have a lot of Psykers, and Psykers aren't too expensive for Space Marines. So there, and the other thing, you are picking which ability you have. Biomancy, Divination, they're all good. You have 5 things to sort of pick from. They're all good. They're all there. So the benefit to that is, you're versatile. And it's not like a one-off ability that you have. With this detachment, your Psykers are always affecting your units, always giving them something. And you've still got your good old Armor of Contempt, which everyone loves. And it's very thematic because, yeah, you can use the strats, the Fiery Shield. If you have Pyromancy applicated, it does even better. It's just a really fun way to play Space Marines now. So I feel it's a really good detachment here. And like I said, a lot of them you don't even need to have the Psyker there. You just need to be close to it, and it'll work. And there's a lot of ways to hide a librarian. So, for those reasons, Space Marines, where are we looking? Space Marines, there you are. Space Marines is also an A. It's really good. Like I said, it's could almost be an S, but like I said, it does affect what your army is. You have to now be infantry focused, and you have to take a lot of librarians, which isn't bad, but it does restrict how you play. If you play any of the other detachments, it's affecting everything in the army, not just specific things. So yeah, A, I feel, is pretty strong, pretty appropriate for that. Now we're looking at, yes, Chaos Space Marines. You cannot have one Space Marine without talking the other. Creations of Bile. Now this is an interesting one, because it's, specifically just Fabius's Bile's detachment. And he had his own little mini codex or something before, previous to this, so that was neat. So if people did a very Bile-themed army, they can use it again. Now, it's not a bad sort of option. I was sort of stressing up and down about it, because overall, it's random. It's random, it only affects infantry, and whilst infantry are really good for Chaos Space Marines, it's just interesting. So if you look at it, the +1 to attacks, that could be very good. The movement's good. Weapon skill, that depends on what you're using. The toughness can be pretty good. I mean, you're going from toughness 4 to 5 in most cases. Yeah, I suppose a bolter, so if you're going up against bolters, that's going to be good. Strength of the melee weapons, again, that can be very situational. And the ballistic skill, again, situational. But then again, you are rolling it twice, and if Fabius Bile's there, you're re-rolling. So you're almost always going to get something good, something that's going to be appropriate for what your army's doing. Because, I mean, if you're doing a close combat army, and all you get was, like, the ballistic skill, and the... even that, it's pretty good. It's like, you get a dud one, you get ballistic skill, but hey, you might get extra toughness, so you're sticking around longer. So overall, it's pretty good. And like I said, all the strats are pretty good. Bringing stuff back, because you can sacrifice some. I like the other one, which one is it? Delayed mutations. So you take D3 mortal wounds, and you can select an extra mutation thing to have, and then you can use the regeneration next turn and just bring them back. So that's fun. You're just messing with the whole fate of these poor Space Marines. They're being used like just play toys, and he's just messing with them. He's such an evil person. Fabius Bile's just horrible. But yeah, Overlord. I was going to say Overlord because I was looking at the Chaos Lord's abilities. It's pretty strong. I was going to give it a B tier, but people have talked me into it. So we'll give it a... wait a minute, which one? Yeah, this one. I've forgotten which one it is. Is it left or is it right? Pretty sure it's left. We'll give that an A tier as well. Just to fit on theme with the Space Marines. Like I said, it's very much... It does set how your army's going to be, because it's going to be infantry, and you have to take Fabius, so it's limiting there, but it is pretty strong. Same with the librarians. You got to take librarians, you got to take infantry, but that's good. Alright, so enough about Fabius Bile. Looking at Eldari and Drukhari. That was nice, they gave them just one spot. They couldn't split them up, they're not that important. Tells you what GW really thinks about them. They just don't care. So it's an interesting one for the Dark Eldar, because it's not really Dark Eldar army. It's a mixed Harlequin Dark Eldar. It's a very weird codex. It's basically a Harlequin sort of codex as well, in some ways. Yeah, it's alright. Like I said, it's okay. I've talked to some other players about it. They're not too, thrilled about it. And never really playing Dark Eldar myself. I played against them a couple of times. I did pretty good against it, I'm not going to lie. So I don't really think this sort of makes their army better. And like I said, if you want to play Dark Eldar, now you have to bring Harlequins as well. So again, it's very limiting, and it's not that much more powerful. So we can see where that's going. Now for Eldar, now this is an interesting one, because an Armored Warhost. it's a vehicle. It's a tank army. It is the Eldar tank army, so I should love this. Like I love all my tank armies. The problem is, it's not very good. Because the only thing you get that'll affect your tanks is you have assault. If you're an Eldar tank, you don't need assault. You're already the fastest tanks on the board. You don't need that extra D6 movement for most of the time. Having the reroll to, the reroll to hit, reroll to wound, that is so much better. So it's like, yeah, it helps vehicles, but it's not as good as just the main ability you have. So this was a bit of a loss. If it had something else that could just help them a bit. Yeah, but just having assault is just not a good. It's not a good toss up for losing that ability to have rerolls. And it's kind of neat. You can make like a Farseer become a Bone Singer. I don't know why they just don't give us the Bone Singer model back. There was a model. The Bone Singer still has stats, I think. Yeah, it does still have stats. It's a Legends unit, which was pretty much a Tech Marine for Eldar. But now you have to play 20 points more to get a Tech Marine. And the Tech Marine doesn't do anything special. It just repairs. It repairs it as Lone Operative. It doesn't get the Vengeance of the Omnissiah, and it doesn't buff the vehicle to have +1 to hit or give it an invuln save. So it's a really pointless 20 points just to give, a vehicle, whatchamacallit. I guess you could take the one that, take that Farseer one that buffs it, and you could make it, I guess you could use it, because people do that with Wrath of Cain. They take that one, I can't remember which one it is, if it's a Farseer or if it's Warlock, and they give it I think it's half, no, it's -1 to be -1 to wound, and they put it on stuff. So you could run that guy by himself, have him running next to a vehicle, and he's a bit more protected. So that might be worth 20 points, or maybe it's worth just bringing a unit with him. I don't know. I don't play Eldar, so either way, and yeah, all the strats aren't that great either. You can do the Soul Sight, so it gets back its rerolls. I'd rather just have them to begin with. So yeah, bit of a miss on this one. They're interesting, but they're just, they don't help. They're giving up what they already had for something not as good. So we're going to put Eldar both at C tier. I don't think they're quite as... They're close. They're close to D, but we'll just give them C. I can't fault them for being something different, something unique. They just did it badly. They tried. At least you tried. Give them the cake that says that. At least you tried. So next one. We're looking at Orcs Tactical Brigade. This is a good one. I think a lot of people are pretty happy with this one. A lot of people like this one, bringing back the Blood Axes, who basically are orcs who are cosplaying as Imperial Guard. And everyone loves that. If you watch the, I remember the original Kill Team trailer. Basically, it's where you had the Kriegsmen versus the Orcs, and the Orcs are dressed up as sort of guardsmen with a hat and the vest. It's basically these Blood Axes. They're thinking more tactical than any other orc. So it's a very fun sort of way of playing. So basically you get you get orders like a guardsman would. You can give them multiple, and if they, you got to smack heads together if it fails and give them mortal wounds. I love that. It's a throwback to the older systems. And they're pretty good. I like the abilities, and you can buff, give something +1 to hit roll. That's going to be really helpful. If you had a big squad of looters or something, it's all mounted. So even, some bikes or some helicopters, whatever. It's pretty good. I like how this one plays. Really focus on the Storm Boys. So, very fast moving, but very stealthy army as well. You want to bring Storm Boys, Commandos, stuff like that. It's, it's like Scions for for orcs. So I just love the theme. They can do a lot of good stuff with it. Yeah, we're giving this one an S. Because, yeah, like I said, it is probably better than the other ones. Because the only other real one I felt was all that good all around for everything was just the normal war host, where it's like in close combat you get the whatchamacallit, the sustained hits, because that just helps everything. This I feel is very similar to that, because you can everything except vehicles you're really working on, and you don't really need to buff vehicles that much. Even when I tried to do a big vehicle list, it's not that great. So yeah, they don't really need help in so much in that sort of area. So this really works. Okay, what do we got next? After orcs, we are looking at... Oh, we're looking at guard. We're looking at the Bridgehead Strike. So, Bridgehead Strike, bringing back the old codex for the Scions, Tempestus Scions. So it's pretty much an infantry focused, so everything it loses that lethal hits, but it rerolls hits of 1. So it makes it more effective there. And especially because you're going to be bringing mostly Cassicans, and you're going to be bringing Tempestus. So everything's already sort of hitting on 3s anyway. So having 3s with rerolls of 1 built in, that's really good. And of course, yeah, you can buff that to hitting on 2s. So it's why your strength isn't that good, your strength of attack. You're getting a lot of attacks, and you got a lot of AP on it, and you're getting a lot of rerolls. So yeah, not only is that a good, you're getting the Fire Zone Purge. So if you want to Chimera Rush or the other one Rush, Taurox Rush, that's going to help with the Ruined Roll as well. Or the Valkyrie. Yeah, just drop in from a Valkyrie. You're getting the +1 to wound, so you can really do some damage just deep striking in. And they have they can deep strike within 6. So that's really going to help for a lot of stuff, like melters and stuff, getting in melter range. Yeah. Shoot and advance. Let's see. Oh yeah, that on my position one, that's fun. I'm about to die, blow me up anyway, that's cool. Yeah, I really like this one. It's definitely good, it's definitely thematic, because you're really making your elite veteran guard army really come to life. The only downside to that is it is only affecting infantry. And for guard, their biggest heavy hitters are the tanks. So because of that, I would give it an S, but I gotta give it A. Because fundamentally, a lot of your army, some of your best things, are just completely neglected here. So I feel because it's not as all-rounded, we just gotta go with A. If you think it should be S, I understand completely. Like it's on the verge, it's on the cusp, but yeah, just because of how set it is to you can only have real infantry affected by the guard's rules, and it's very much just bring elite, just bring Tempestus. It just limits it, so it's A tier, close to S, but just A. Let's see, Chaos Demons. This is almost impossible to put just as one thing, because it's 4 detachments they have. So they have their Blood Legion, Excess, Plague, Scintillating. So it's good though. You have your primary focused Chaos Demons army. You can just go solely focused on your one Chaos God this time. So that's good. I feel that's a lot more thematic than just bring whatever you want of everything. And seeing as Shadow of the Warp, that got sort of, they can't deep strike within 3 anymore. It has to be 6. So you're not really losing out so much on the Demonic Incursion. They're all pretty good. Like I said, I don't really play Chaos that much. Like, I've never really seen them played that much. The only time we really saw them was when people are just spamming the Great Unclean Ones, which is horribly disgusting. Horribly disgusting. I'm not sure if that really affects it that much. Because if we look at the Plague one, yeah, if you're close to a Nurgle thing, you got to make the Battle Shock test. That's good. You know, it lets you steal objectives a lot easier. So overall, like I said, it's hard to just factor into one thing. So I'm just going to give it a B. It just puts it on tier with everything else. You know, you have your options now. They're not great. They're not bad. They're just average. Yeah. From what I hear, nothing of it's really anything to write home about. But, you know, it's good you have the choice now. You're not set to one play style for demons anymore. Maybe people will just stop bringing, you know, just spamming the big archdemons anymore. Maybe they'll bring more cohesive armies for demons. We'll wait and see. That's all I can say. So yeah, anyway, after that, demons, we're looking at Leagues of Votan. Now, Votan, we had our one detachment before, which wasn't too bad, because you got extra judgment tokens. You just pick a bunch of stuff, how you judged, which was interesting. I mean, it was definitely good. It's a little uninspired, and then you got the extra CP from it, but all their strats, they're okay. None of the Votan strats are very memorable. I always forget what they are, because I'm not really thinking about them too much. So having the methodical annihilation, you're taking that negative because you no longer have a lot of stuff that's automatically grudged. So that hurts, but you get the rerolls of 1. That sort of balances out the +1 to hit for most things. With this army as well, you're going to be bringing mostly the Hearthguard, which automatically hit on 3s anyway. Their base is 3. So the reroll ones to hit, that sort of averages out to about, you know, hitting on 2s anyway. And the extra armor penetration, that's going to work really good on the Volkite pistols, going from AP 0 to AP 1 and getting dev wounds on that. That's going to be crazy. I think there's a strat. Yep, give it rapid fire. Oh, that hurts. That's going to hurt. Yeah, it's like, I really like this. It does sort of set your army. It's like you're going to be Hearthguard focused, but you don't really have much of a choice anyway with Votan, because we're very limited in what we can take. Overall, I like it. I think it is more infantry focused, but your infantry is sort of your best part of your Votan anyway. As much as I love the Land Fortress, you know, the other detachment isn't really helping it that much anyway. So while it's not really helping here with the vehicles, it's still doing something. So what are we giving this? Votan, we're gonna give that an A. I just think it's better than what they have now. If it's not better, it's on par. It is debatable if it's better. I like it because it's just always there. It's always active. Yeah, no, I'm going to give it an A. Let's see, what do we got next? We're getting low on this list. What do we got? There's 7 more to go. That's cool. Looking at Gene Stealers. So final day. This is an interesting one because it's like the other ones we've seen where it's just bring extra allies. So you got your Tyranid allies. You can bring not your big stuff. You can't bring warriors. You can't bring your big bugs. I like that it's up to 1,000 points for Strike Force, so you can bring a lot. Like the only battle line you can bring is gargoyles. They're very much leaning in to like Space Marine 2, where like you see the city getting invaded and they're all flying around. And it's like lictors and stuff like that. Infiltrating sort of stealthy, fast stuff. Your tunneling stuff, you know, like that. So it is fun. It's a fun way to play Gene Stealers in that, you know, they've like I said, it's the final day. It's finally coming out, and all their hard work's come to fruition, and they're finally coming out to attack. I love the theming of this army. And it is pretty good, because you just have the Tyranids, and while the Tyranids are there, the Genestealer cults sort of hit better. They're psyched up by that. I like the idea of the Tyranids sort of absorbing... Which one is it? There's like one ability where you can sort of feed on them. Yeah, the Synapse sort of works for them. But anyway, yeah, I'm not sure how well Genestealers are doing anyway, because all their other detachments, I tried to make their Brood Brothers Auxilia work. It doesn't work great, allying with Astra Militarum when you can't get the Astra Militarum Guard. You can't get the Imperial Guard buffs really working very well if you're playing as the Genestealer cults. So it does hinder them. I think it's better if you just bring your own Guard army looking like Genestealer cults and just run them with Guard rules. So yeah, overall the detachments for Genestealer cults, they're all sort of okay-ish. None's like really stands out. So yeah, this is a much more, I guess, sort of interesting one. It does require you to have extra stuff though. So it just doesn't feel right, giving it too high of a rating. We'll give it B. Like I said, it isn't bad. It's about on par with the rest of what they have. Cool. So, yeah. Now, Adeptive Sororus, our Sisters of Battle. Oh, everyone's upset. I'm in the Sisters group on Facebook. Everyone is upset at what they've done to Sisters. And like we saw when we did our game the other day, and we tried Bringers of Flame with the new nerfs, because I feel Bringers of Flame, it wasn't hit that hard. Like, yes, it's not as powerful as it was, but I feel it was too powerful before. It just balanced it. The change to Fate Dice, I'm not sure how big of a deal that is. It would be nice to have more, and especially for this one, because everyone's saying, because you can discard so many to get the abilities. That's where it comes in, discarding dice. So you're pretty much never going to be using them in place of stuff, because you're going to need them just to do the Righteous Purpose. And the Righteous Purpose is okay. Like, what do you get? You get the +1 to move. Leadership. The +1 to hit and +1 to hit in ballistic skill and weapon skill. So that's pretty good. It just affects the Battle Sisters. So you can't do it on Dominions. So yeah, Battle Sisters, that's kind of meh. But the Sacristans and the Paragon Warsuits, that's good. Giving them the +1 to hit is really good. And as we saw in our game, yeah, the Sacristans were pretty good. They're pretty defendable. Really defendable in this army as well. Really, really helps them. And I don't want to say this is the new, what was it, the Bloody Rose? Because it's not Bloody Rose. It's more... Do they even say what this is based off? No, they don't really say what this is based off in the detachment. But yeah, you want to bring your war suits. It's pretty much a close combat-y sort of detachment. Still, maybe the other one's going to be better. It's more interesting, though, this way. But yeah, just accessing the Miracle Dice, it's just hard to use. They definitely went overboard, probably nerfing the Miracle Dice system. They probably could have done this better, where it was like with the AdMech, where you just pick some units each turn, and then they are the righteous purchase. Maybe that would have been better. Sacrificing something that you don't really have anymore that much of was probably a mistake. Like I said, overall I like it. We ran pretty much this army in the game. It did really well. And I was sacrificing the Miracle Dice mostly for Morden Vols her ability to sacrifice the miracle dice and you get the cool stuff. That was really powerful. Wonder if that will buff. I wonder if that'll stack. I suppose it will. Because if she's in a unit with Paragon Warsuits and use this for the Paragon Warsuits, yeah, this would stack. So you could make a really, really powerful Death Star with Morton Vol and a Paragon Warsuits using this detachment. But, you know, it's like I said, it's just more difficult to run. So for that reason, we got to give it a C tier. It's unfortunate. I would have liked it to be better, but yeah, they've just... I think they thought of, like people were saying online, they thought of this code, they put it into place, and then the army got nerfed a bit, and they didn't have time to sort of fix it. I'm guessing. That's what that's what the people are saying. So I wouldn't disagree with that. But yeah, that's our sisters. That's yeah. What are we looking at now? Oh, Blood Angels, Angelic Inheritors. This is a fun one. Now, Blood Angels, no one's really, at least in my group, I'm not really seeing people play Blood Angels that much. And if they are, they're using just like the normal sort of detachments. I mean, I like the other ones. Because, yeah, having Death Company, but it's good in theory. But the other ones are more powerful. This one, I feel, is a lot more powerful. Start of the first battle round, 2 Angel Legacies. Yeah, so you do have more variety in what you can do. It's more tactical because you're picking which thing you're going to have, which ability you're going to have in the first battle round. So the advance and charge is great. The reroll to hit, reroll to wound, that's great. Shoot and charge when you fall back. That is fantastic. I love that ability. So you can do a lot of great stuff. This is a really useful detachment. And if you look at what it can do, there's a lot of it that just affects everything. It's not just infantry you're affecting. You're affecting most of the stuff in the army. Because, yeah, you got one for infantry. You got stuff for your characters. Yeah, I really like this one. I feel it's very much a useful, what's the word there? Very versatile. It's a very versatile and very fast moving army for the Blood Angels to have. So what are we giving the Blood Angels? We're going to give that an A tier. Yeah, really good choice there. Feels a lot better, you know, having something you can use that's specifically for the Blood Angels, not just for every Space Marine chapter. This is specifically for them, and it's good. So I like that a lot. After Blood Angels, we're looking at Tau. So the Auxiliary Cadre. This is really fun because it not only buffs your Kroot. It's Kroot-centric, and it's also Vespid centric. I'd love if they had just one more sort of auxiliary unit, another little alien thing they could run in their army, but that's all right. You know, the Vespid Spinwings, you know, they got a new kit. They're looking really good. All the Kroot models look really good as well. I think this is a very superior version than just your Kroot hunting pack, which sort of just affected Kroot. You had to go all Kroot, and all Kroot is not good. You just have a lot of stuff Kroot can't take care of, but you were stuck with them because they wouldn't, you know, nothing else would be getting the buff. So it was very much focusing you, you know, to have just Kroot only. Whilst this you mix Kroot with Vespings and Tau as well. Everyone sort of benefits from this detachment. So that's really versatile. I like what they've done there. Yeah, you get the extra AP. You can give a guy to have the greater good for the Kroot model. That's useful. Then you can make Stingwings really strong with their armor penetration. That's really good. Yeah, so I really like it. It's just Overall, though, I don't think it's... Recruit and Stingwings, like I said, it's good that they have a better benefit, but they're not exactly as powerful as what you can do for the other sort of detachments. Is this going to be as strong as taking just battle suits? Probably not. And whilst the other ones, I never really liked them, the Cayenne and the other one, they're very generic, but they affect sort of everything. So whilst this only affects specific builds, like it's very much, just spam Vespids for this force. Like I said, it's not a bad thing, but it is limiting, so as much as, like I said, it's better than the Kroot one, but that's not saying much because the Kroot one wasn't that good. So Tower we're putting in B tier. Like it's I like it, but it's not as strong as some of the other ones. It's sort of still in the lower tier of their detachment strength wise. Whilst it is nice, you can sort of use the new Vespid models for something. But enough about Tau. We don't want to talk about filthy Tau. We want to talk about Black Templars. They fight in melee. Very honourable. So Black Templars. This is an interesting one. So Wrathful Procession. Similar to the Blood Angels one. Except instead of just getting 2 things for the whole round, you just pick a litany and everyone sort of has it. Well, not everyone, just your infantry and your mounted stuff. It picks the bonus move, or the extra strength, or the 5-up invuln against range attacks. I think most people are going to be picking the range attack invuln for the most part. The problem with this is the other one's better. Just the Righteous Crusaders detachment is just better because lethal hits or a feel no pain, sustained hits, that's just fundamentally better than all of these things. They're just, you get to pick the difference. It's like extra move is okay. The strength characters and melee weapons, that's going to be very situational. Like going from strength 4 to strength 5, unless you're fighting other Space Marines, not really going to do much. Goes you from being bad at melee to okay at melee. It's not really going to... adding 1 to strength stuff is probably one of the weaker ways to increase combat effectiveness. +1 to wound is so much more better. Overall, the litanies, it's not that much better. And all the other stuff, if I look at the enhancements... they're kind of average. They're not that much better than the other detachments. What do you get for the abilities? Melee weapons get precision. Well, who cares? If you're not doing enough attacks to just cut your way through to the character already, what are you doing? It's just a very nothing. It's just a very nothing detachment. It's just giving you the illusion of choice. And that's the thing. It's an illusion. It's giving you stuff. Hey, you can now pick different abilities, but all the abilities aren't that great. They're not that good. Black Templars goes in D tier. As much as I love my Black Templars, this detachment is not good. Everything else is better than this. It's a big shame. But I think they just didn't have ideas of what they wanted to do with it. So they just filled in, all right, what ability don't they have yet? They don't have an extra move ability. Let's whack that in there. They weren't really thinking, how do we make their playstyle so much different? They were just thinking, what buffs don't they currently have we can just cram in there just to fill it out. It's very much it's a filler detachment. That's the way to put it. So, D tier for that. And on the inverse of that, we're looking at World Eaters. World Eaters next. That is a classic battle, World Eaters and Black Templar. That was one of my favorite parts of Siege of Terror. Anyway, so Vessels of Wrath. Similar to that AdMech one I was talking about, because you're just picking units and they become the Vessel of Wrath. So they get the extra World Eaters Blessings of Corn abilities. You're just picking them, which I really like, because like I said with the other ones, it gives it versatility. You know, you can look at what you're up against, look at what you need to do. Like, am I going to need extra Feel No Pain? Am I going to need extra movement in certain areas? You can then control it. You can pick it. And the only thing you're sacrificing is the sort of devastating charge ability. So, yeah, you're doing less in combat when you charge from Relentless Rage, but you're thinking more. You're strategizing more with Vessels of Rage. You're using your head more. You're thinking more. So I think that's really good. That gives you a very different way to play them, more tactically than just running straight forward. And running straight forward is still a good option. You could still even do that, and it'd be fine. But yeah, this gives a good option for things. All the stratagems sort of affect most of the things in the army. Yeah, mostly affects World Eaters, but then if you're a Vessel of Wrath, you do something else good instead. Like, it all syncs up pretty good. The other thing that doesn't really buff is vehicles, but who cares? They don't care about vehicles. Yeah, they just want to hit everything with their swords. So, we're going to go A tier for World Eaters. It's a good option. It's a good detachment, I feel. I feel it really gives them something different they didn't have before. Alright, so lastly, we are looking at Space Wolves. Space Wolves. Now, from what I was told, Champions of Rust, I didn't think it was that great, but the more as it explained to me what it can do, it's like you can just have, like I said, it's kind of tricky to get the sagas off, because you got to have the characters, they got to do stuff, but I didn't realize, you just start off with one. Yeah, anyway. So yeah, having lethal hits on everything, that can be pretty good. Like the Saga of the Beast Slayer. Yeah, that's, a lot of interesting abilities. From what I understand, people use Champions of Rust, or they use like the White Scars or the Ultramarines one. It's whatever. So, that being said, what this gives you, the Great Wolf watches. This whole thing is pretty much just a deterrent detachment, because it's like, don't come within 3 of me or I'll charge you. So it's a very interesting one, and it is Terminators heavy, because it pretty much says, hey, sit here out in the open as a Terminator and be a deterrent from your army getting close to you. But why are you just sitting there? Why aren't you going forward and just keep moving forward? And it does help in some ways, because you can, get some extra pile-ins. You can, which one gives you that? I'm sure it had that ability. Maybe I'm wrong. But anyway, so yeah, it's pretty much a countercharge sort of thing. It's like a almost like a Vanguard sort of detachment, where you're just taking your elite guys, your Terminators, your Dreadnoughts, you're moving up, and you're trying to encourage them not to charge you. But while you're doing that, you're just going to get shot, and it's probably better to have, more versatility. Yeah, in this case, it very much insists on you going sort of Terminator heavy, or getting your walkers, getting some Dreadnoughts. It's a hard one to do. It's a weird one. Maybe it is the case that they ran out of ideas, just like with the other ones. Did they just not quite understand, and they remembered that in old rules, Space Wolves used to have counter charge. That was their thing, so now they're trying to bring that back, but they don't really know how to incorporate counter charge back into this version of the game. Yeah, either way, it's C tier. From what I understand, not many people are a fan of this one. You're not going to see this in any real competitive play. It's too easy to just avoid. It's like, all right, I just won't go within 3 of you. All right. Or just like, oh, okay, I won't leave something. I won't charge in. It just makes you rethink your plans a bit. It's all just, sort of distraction in a way. Yeah, it's not good. It doesn't help you that much. Sort of win the game. It just makes your opponent think, I'll have to not go in as fast as I would before. But that doesn't really change a lot. All right, so that's it for the list. Let's just go over it a bit. So S we had Necrons. That's probably my favorite. That one's really good. Custodes, Orcs. Yeah, these are some. Yeah, I love how unique each of these are. They're so very different. Then we got Death Guard, Admech, Knights, Grey Knights, Space Marines, Chaos Space Marines. Most of the Space Marines are A tier, which is good. Astra Militarum, Votan, Blood Angels. Votan, I think maybe could have been B. No, I'll leave it A. If you think it's B, I'll accept that. World Eaters is A. They're all pretty good. B, of course, you got Dark Angels, Tyranids, Death Watch. Too much death in everyone's names. Chaos Demons. We got our Gene Stealer Cults, Tau. C for, this is bottom. This is, playable, but do you really want to play it? We got both Eldar, Dark Eldar and regular Eldar, and Harlequins technically as well. Sisters and Space Wolves. Then D tier, we're looking at Thousand Suns, Imperial Agents, and Black Templar. So overall, mostly in the positive. Mostly A's we're looking at. Fair bit of mid. There's more good than there is bad. So I think they've done all right here. They did us a solid, Games Workshop here. I think some of them was either, like I said, they were strapped for ideas. They just ran out of ideas of what to do with them, and they just filled in either copy pastes from other detachments and just changed some words around, or they just looked, what does this army not do? Just give it that. Just be a completionist. And other ones has been a really unique, different way to play the army, like we saw with the Orcs. A very different playstyle, which is great, and it's a good one as well. It's fun. All right. So I've been talking for an hour and a quarter. That's pretty good. My voice is starting to give out, so I don't know how streamers do it for like 5 hours or whatever. I guess it's just something I got to work up to. But overall, thanks for watching. Let me know what you guys think, what your lists are, how different they were to mine. Like I said, I don't play every army, so maybe I got some of this wrong. I'll accept it if I did. I did try and talk with a fair few people about this to see what they thought. This is a pretty good consensus we had at the end of it. But yeah, overall, thanks for watching. I hope you have a great New Year's. I'll speak to you all soon. Bye.